Welcome to the Pit Check, your weekly news for the best and heaviest new albums from your favorite extreme metal and hardcore bands. It's time to unbuckle your belt or pop open that top button. Death metal lovers are eating good this week. But don't worry, hardcore and deathcore lovers aren't going hungry either. We have got plenty of insanely heavy new albums to go around. Real talk, it was nearly impossible to figure out which albums I was going to feature this week. So at the end of the video, I'll have the full list of everything that came out this week, as well as some of the ones that I wanted to shout out that couldn't quite make it today. So as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we do this every week. And let's get into this week's best and heaviest new albums. Who doesn't love Australian hardcore? The legendary yet criminally underrated hardcore band 50 Lions has just released their latest album titled New Reality. 50 Lions is celebrating their 20th year as a band, yet this is only their 4th album. And this one's being released by Last Ride Records, who notably has been releasing non-stop heaters from bands like Speed, Drain, Candy, Iron Mind, and so many more. And honestly, especially after this album, there's no reason 50 Lions shouldn't be brought up alongside them. The band Candy is actually a really good comparison to the sound on this album. It's got the grit and grime that we all love from this type of hardcore. Low, chuggy guitars, disgustingly heavy bass, harsh vocals with biting lyrics, and then the inclusion of a bunch of these electronic, breakbeat, and even rap influences, but without over-polishing or overproducing the instruments. I really enjoyed this album, and I think this band deserves way more credit. Definitely check this one out if you want a fresh take on some classic Australian hardcore.
Bring out your dead.
The brutal death metal band Corpse Pile has released this monstrously heavy new album titled In the Beginning. Corpse Pile are a Houston, Texas-based hardcore death metal band that is known for blending the craziest and grindiest death metal riffs with the most ungodly thick and IQ-lowering breakdowns and slams. This album feels like a love letter to peak era devourment, but obviously without feeling like it's biting off their sound in any way. This is 15 minutes of non-stop soul-stealing carnage. Corpse Pile takes the genre title brutal death metal deadly seriously. I keep saying there's no way that 2025 could possibly get any heavier, and yet here we are. Dirty breakdowns? Clean it up with Orbit Culture.
You lit liquor!
The Swedish melodeath and groove metal band Orbit Culture have released their latest album titled Death Above Life. I really like how much more of the melodic death metal and even industrial grooves are threaded throughout this entire album. The band themselves said they blend together, quote, riffs that are equal parts thrash, death metal, and industrial with arresting hooks and a layered atmosphere that invites comparison to Gojira, Metallica, and Static X while carving out something that is uniquely their own. I'm actually surprised to see how divisive this album is, with some people upset and stating that they maybe leaned too much into this progressive metal and groove metal influence, saying that it was sacrificing some of their thrash metal core, or that some of the songs were structured a little bit too traditionally. But I kind of disagree here. I think the addition of these progressive metal elements make things a lot more varied and diverse. You'll have to check this one out for yourself, but if you love melodic death metal, groove metal, or even thrash metal, it's absolutely worth recommending. Real quick, last week I mentioned that this channel finally became a YouTube partner, and dude, you guys left the nicest comments. Some of you guys even tipped, which is just like insane. Thank you so much to JRockon2774 and Gojira2892. That is so unbelievably kind. So really, I just wanted to quickly say thank you to everyone who's been watching. You guys have all been so unbelievably supportive. I don't know how I got so lucky to foster this community who's just like super stoked on all these new bands. But this energy is amazing, and I'm sure it's not just me. I think a lot of the bands that we talk about really love your guys' support too. So thank you. It genuinely means the world. This might be the most underrated deathcore band on the scene. The Arizona-based technical deathcore band Decayer has released this genuinely incredible new album titled Memoirs of Despair. I love how ridiculously impressive every one of these instrumentalists are. The guitarists are shredding like crazy and adding all these harmonies and solos and these really haunting melodies that add this like oppressive sound, with a drummer who might be an android and a vocalist who was definitely raised by wolves. Not only does this band have stupidly heavy features from the band's Mental Cruelty and Wretched Tongues, but this album is also 13 songs that runs close to an hour, with literally zero stagnation or repetition. Every single song is fresh and unique. I loved this album. This was my surprise hit of the week. I had never heard of this band, and this genuinely blew my socks off. Every deathcore fan needs to give this one a shot. Do you wish your death metal had more synthesizers? The Finnish melodic death metal band Bloodred Hourglass has released their highly anticipated new album titled We Should Be Buried Like This. This album has a great blend of their always impressive riffs and melodies, along with this raw and aggressive death metal intensity, but this band really loves to use all of these electronic and synth elements that even take the lead from the guitars, but without overdoing it and become cringe or corny or crabcore. When talking about the album, Bloodred Hourglass said, "This is the most aggressive and straightforward album BRHG have ever created, yet it never loses sight of the unmistakable melodic power that defines their sound. With searing riffs, explosive energy, and sweeping emotional depth, this album pulses with intensity from start to finish." As well as, We Should Be Buried Like This is more than an album title. It's a farewell to illusion, a howl against the silence, and perhaps a final breath of truth before the world turns black. Salt Lake City hardcore is insane. The angry as hell hardcore band Mask is here with their aptly titled debut album, Aggressive Contempt. I love the quote from their press release. "This one is actually brutal. Hardcore devastation. All you need to know." Like, what is this, a telegram? Good God, this album is relentless. Mask is just constantly beating you over the head with the lowest, chuggiest, most bone-rattling riffs, with no shortage of punky two-steps and grooves, but then just knocks the earth out from underneath your feet with some of the most punishing beatdown hardcore breakdowns I've heard in a while. If you need your hardcore heavier than a sleep paralysis demon on your chest, pick this album up ASAP. This is what Atlas's back must feel like. That's what they tell me. The slamming death metal and deathcore band Iron Gate has released this unbearably heavy new EP titled The Crushing Weight of Existence. I mean, I feel like they nailed it with the name here. This band has breakdowns and slams so heavy it'll make your knees buckle. And with features from Backbiter and Wretched Tongues, the absolute weight of this band just keeps piling on. Also, come on, how could you not love these bass drops? If you love bands like the Acacia Strain, but with more modern slam elements, plenty of beatdown hardcore influence, and riffs that'll make you break your neck from headbanging, this band needs to be on your radar. In not shocking news, California hardcore bands are good. The Los Angeles-based hardcore band Broken Focus has released their debut self-titled EP. This is a brand new, young and hungry band that packs a veteran punch. I love that the guitars and bass here are ripping these 80s and 90s classic hardcore punk riffs, and vocalist Ren Rose is just chewing these lyrics to pieces. And I really respect how this band refuses to be anything close to generic. They are completely unafraid to get chaotic, with tempo changes and atypical song structures. I loved this release, and I'm an immediate fan. I need them to start touring, and I live across the US, so hurry up and get famous already. And now, super quickly, I wanted to shout out some of the bands that we didn't get to cover on this episode. Ephemeral is a really sick metallic death metal band from Florida. I really like this album, but the only reason I didn't include it was because there were so many death metal albums, I had to toss a coin to see which ones to include. Fight From Within also put out a pretty heavy new release. If you like metalcore and deathcore, pick this one up. And Overthrow released a really sick new album as well. Definitely check that one out if you like your hardcore music on the more punk side of hardcore punk. And then obviously here is the full list of all of the bands that released albums this week. Let me know if there's anything I missed, anything that I should have covered, or if you have a band or your friend has a band, leave some links down below. This is a safe space for music nerds. And I'll catch you next week in the exact same spot for next week's best new albums. I will come up with a better ending someday, but it's 2 a.m. and I am tired.